Okay, so today we're going to dive into a really fascinating cybersecurity story. It kind of pulls back the curtain on how we measure risk. You know how some things get labeled low risk, but they really aren't? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today, all centered around a piece of software pretty much everyone has used. I mean, who hasn't used 7-Zip, right? It's that go-to, super reliable tool for zipping and unzipping stuff. It's free, it works, and let's be honest, it's probably on your computer as we speak. And that's the thing. When something is that common, even a tiny little crack in its armor can turn into a huge problem. All right, so a bug gets found. It gets its fancy ID number, CVE-2025-55188. A CVE is basically just a tracking number for security flaws. No big deal. But here's where it gets really interesting. The official rating that came back? Low. And let me tell you, in the world of security, low pretty much means it goes to the bottom of the pile. But was it really a low-risk bug? And this is where the person who actually found the bug, a researcher who goes by Loonbun, basically says, hold on a minute. They were so sure the official rating was way off that they put this out there for everyone to see. And that is the core question we're digging into. How could the person who found the hole see a gaping chasm, while the official score just saw a tiny crack? So to figure that out, we gotta roll up our sleeves and look at how this attack actually works. Let's break down how something as simple as unzipping a file could be turned into a weapon. Okay, the whole trick here comes down to one little thing, a symbolic link, or a symlink for short. The easiest way to think about it, it's just like a shortcut on your desktop. The shortcut isn't the actual program, right? It just points to it. Now, imagine if a bad guy could create a shortcut that doesn't point to your web browser, but instead points to, say, a super important system file. You can see where this is going. The attack itself is actually pretty straightforward, kind of like a three-step recipe for disaster. Step 1, the attacker makes a special malicious archive file. Step 2, inside that file, they put two things, their payload file and that tricky symlink that points to a sensitive spot on your computer. And step 3, they just need to trick you into downloading and unzipping it with an older, vulnerable version of 7-Zip. That's it. And look, this isn't just some theory. This is the actual command from the proof of concept exploit. Let me break down what this gobbledygook means for you. It's creating a booby-trapped 7Z file. It takes the attacker's public SSH key, think of it as their digital house key, and uses that symlink trick to overwrite your list of authorized keys. If this works, the attacker can just waltz right into your system. Now, does that sound low risk to you? Yeah, me either. So here's the bottom line. This so-called low-risk bug gives an attacker what's called an arbitrary file write. That's a fancy way of saying they can overwrite important files on your system. They could mess with your startup scripts, so their malicious code runs every time you open a terminal. Or, like we just saw, they could literally give themselves a key to your digital front door. It's a huge deal. Okay, so that brings us right back to the million-dollar question. If this thing is so dangerous, how in the world did it end up with a measly score of only 3.6 out of 10? Yep, there it is, 3.6. That's the official score from what's called the CVSS, or the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. Now, this system is supposed to be a totally objective, standardized way to measure risk. So how could it produce a score that seems to, well, so completely downplay what we just saw? Let's look at the math. The whole reason for the low score is because the system is, well, it's very robotic. It's just checking boxes. Is the attack local? Yes, the file has to be on your machine first. Check. Does it require user interaction? Yep, you have to actually click extract. Check. Is the integrity impact low? Well, technically, it only messes with some files, not the whole system. Check. You see the problem? The system is technically correct on all counts, but it completely misses the bigger picture, that sometimes overwriting just one single file is game over. But thankfully, this is one of those stories where the open source community really comes through. The bug was reported to the 7-Zip maintainer, Igor Pavlov, who jumped on it right away. So let's actually look at the code and see how he fixed it. All right, here's proof. Plain as day, straight from the source code. You can see the version number right here, changing from 25.00 to 25.01. That's the big signal that, yep, a fix is out. But the change was a lot more than just a simple version bump. This is the real magic right here, deep inside the code. See, before, the logic was basically just a simple on or off switch for handling these symlinks. The new version is much smarter. It introduces a dangerous level setting. This gives 7-Zip way more granular control, letting it figure out which links are probably safe and which ones are definitely not, basically slamming the door shut on this entire type of attack.
Okay, so we've walked through the bug, the whole debate about how bad it was, and the fix. So what's the big lesson here? What should we all take away from this story?
First up, the immediate practical stuff. Go update your 7-Zip. Seriously, go check it now. Make sure you're on version 25.01 or later. That's the number one thing. And, of course, the old advice is still the best advice. Be really suspicious of archives from sources you don't trust. And if you're ever unzipping something and it asks, hey, do you want to overwrite this existing file? Just pause. Take a second and think about it.
But the bigger picture here is so important. This whole saga is the perfect lesson that a low severity score doesn't always mean low risk. Context is everything. It's also a giant flashing sign telling you to always keep your software updated, even for the little patches that don't seem like a big deal. And you know what? It's also just a fantastic example of open source security working exactly like it's supposed to. You've got a sharp-eyed researcher and a responsive developer working together to make things safer for all of us. So yeah, this one got caught and this one got fixed, which is great. But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other officially low-risk threats are just sitting out there hiding in the software we use every single day, just waiting for the right context to become a major problem? It's a powerful reminder to stay vigilant and always look beyond the label.